Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. In this video I will give you a quick farming guide for the new Halloween event 2024. This will be a shorter guide compared to my previous ones since I'm very low on free time at the moment, so if you guys spot some errors or you want to make some suggestions, leave them in the comments down below. And as usual, if you find this type of content useful, please let me know by leaving a like, a comment and subscribing to the channel. And if you can, give me some feedbacks regarding these new short form guides, since they are the only format I can manage at the moment, and I want to know if you guys still find them useful. Jumping straight to the new level 90++ farming node, that as usual is the best farming spot in this Halloween event. Compared to the previous event, we are back to a standard 3 waves node, with a single Cerberus mob in wave 1, 3 mobs of different class in wave 2, namely Lancer, Saber and Archer, and finally a single Saber Servant in wave 3. The best way to deal with this node is as usual with a multi-core farming comp, featuring a primary DPS that can deal with both wave 1 and wave 3, and a secondary DPS that can clear wave 2. As primary DPS you usually want a single target archer, but as we will see, even single target berserkers will work. And if you have a cracked copy of Faker, you can also use her. For secondary DPS we have to use either berserker or pretenders. But fortunately the event will give us a free AoE pretender, and if you don't want to invest in lowly Elisabeth, you can just bring a cracked Oberon copy from supports. Started with the Cerberus in wave 1, it has very high HP for a wave 1 enemy. In fact, I think most of you will struggle to clear this particular enemy, since as we will see in a moment, the event will give you an answer for wave 2, and in wave 3 we have the usual Oberon combo to nuke the enemy. Aside the Cerberus high HP for the average enemy in wave 1, you have to remember that the Archer class is notably lacking in single target DPS. It has very strong AoE DPS, like Gilgamesh for example, but the closest thing we have to a cracked single target Archer is Super Orion. The strongest actual single target archer we have at the moment is Emiya Alter, to give you an idea. A 4-star. Together with low steroids, the archer class also have a low attack modifier. Every damage they will inflict is multiplied by 0.95. This same consideration can be made even for wave 3 damage, since for this node you'll probably want to bring a single target archer to deal with wave 1 and wave 3, but the specific problem of wave 1 is that we can't use all our buffs immediately. We have to save some buffs tied to charge skills to charge again our MP for wave 3. If you are running a 6-slot comp and you bring the starting MP charge C, the problem is amplified since you already have starting MP charge, meaning you won't be able to give a lot of buffs to your primary DPS. The primary DPS servants that have super effective modifier against Cerberus on their MP are Chiron and Fujino. Between the two, Chiron is the obvious best choice, being a permanent servant unlike Fujino, which is one of the rarest servants in the game, and of course being arts mean he synergizes perfectly with Castoria, which is the best possible support for multi-core farming comps, given her total MP charge. You can try and use Fujino, but she is a buster servant without an MP charge skill, at least on NA. So damage is not really the problem, since she has an upgraded MP. The problem is getting her MP up again. Moving on to wave 2, here we have 3 different classes of mobs: Archer, Saber and Lancer. Since we can't insta-kill this wave reliably, we have to rely on berserkers or pretenders. Fortunately, this is still the less problematic wave to deal with, since the enemy HPs are relatively low, probably to compensate for the mixed classes, I guess. and at the very least the welfare Elisabeth can always take care of this wave, with proper support of course. If you don't care about the welfare bond bonus and if you can spare the extra party cost, then Morgan is arguably the best secondary DPS for this node, since she can offer more total charge to the team compared to the welfare Elisabeth, on top of stronger AoE attack buffs. And since all 3 mobs have human attribute, she has a super effective MP against them. Speaking of super effective MP, Rikyu can also work for this wave. While she can be a better buffer for quick DPS compared to Morgan, the total MP charge she can offer to the team is lower than Morgan and Elisabeth welfare. So as you will see, teams that use her have very strict refund numbers. Finally, if you plan to use double Oberon for this node, and either you or your friends have an MP2 Oberon, you can just use him to clear this second wave. Just be sure to check the numbers beforehand, because if you bring double Oberon and you miss the kill on turn 3, you will find yourself with 2 standard servants and only a single Oberon able to act on the field. Lastly, for wave 3 we have Dioscuri with 700 HPs. Unlike wave 1, this time we have lower HPs compared to previous level 90++ nodes. But don't let the number fool you, since as we have said before, the archer class is notoriously lacking in single target damage. So one-shotting Dioscuri is not as easy as it looks at first glance. As if to prove my point, the best single target DPS to bring for wave 3 is Mysterious Heroine X Alter, so a berserker instead of an archer. She has an upgraded MP with a super effective modifier against saber class servants enemies. This super effective modifier won't trigger in wave 1 against Cerberus, but even without it, Mysterious Heroine X is the second most damaging quick DPS for wave 1. She is right after Altera Santa welfare, which is a free NP5. Overall, I think Mysterious Heroine X Alter is the best primary DPS to bring for this specific level 90++ node. Other options for wave 3 includes Kriemhild and Oda Nobunaga Berserker. Kriemhild only has the chaotic power mod against Dioscuri, and between her non-upgraded NP and low refund, I don't think you should bring her if you have other standard single target Arts Looper. And that's without mentioning the low damage in wave 1, where the Cerberus have higher than average HPs. Oda Nobunaga can deal decent damage in wave 3, but remember, she is a bastard servant without self-NP charge. No, I'm not counting the 3% each turn that she gets, and just like Kriemhild, her wave 1 damage is very low. One other notable option for wave 3 is Robin. As you should already know, Robin's super effective modifier against poison enemies is really cracked. So much that he is the strongest single target archer in the game if the debuffs lands. To guarantee the debuffs, you'll need to bring double Oberon and have both of them on the field on wave 3. That's because Oberon anti-humanity passive will let you bypass Dioscuri magic resistance. Once again, the problem with Robin is with wave 1, where his damage will be very low, at least aside RNG shenanigans with poison command code, since you'll need to save his poison skill for wave 3. You can see here the trend I mentioned when talking about the Cerberus in wave 1. The biggest problem when choosing a primary DPS for this node is not really dealing with Dioscuri in wave 3, but instead choosing a DPS that can deal with the Cerberus in only one turn. For example, the foreigner Mysterious Heroine XX has one of the strongest single target MPs against Dioscuri in wave 3, since she basically gets class advantage with an upgraded MP and strong self-steroids, but she can't deal with the Cerberus in wave 1 since it's not a servant. Moving on to the farming comps that I think are the best for this specific level 90++ node, I first want to point out that this event features a kind of unlimited farming for ascension materials, 14 different ascension materials to be precise, as well as embers and Dupes. You will get all these items passively every time you clear a free quest, and you can increase the acquisition rate by slotting your servants in the Mount Liang and by bringing the 3 event shop Cs while farming. For this reason, I will start as always listing the 6 slot farming comps first, since if you want to farm this event somewhat extensively, given that it drops so many ascension materials together with embers and Dupes, then you ideally want the extra C slot in the party. However, don't worry, I will also include the best 5 slot farming comps, both for those who have maximally unbroken Black Grail CE and also for those without any copy of Black Grail CE, so don't worry about it. Regarding the possibility of farming this node for its ascension materials drop, you can do it since it has as usual good drop rates, just like other previous level 90++ nodes. In particular, you will get Fragment of Twinkly Star at a better drop rate compared to free quests, and I don't know if it's the same for your account, but personally I'm very low on this particular item. The other material dropped is Ceremonial Sword of Twilight. This is the new bronze material from the latest Traum chapter, so if like me you still have to clear Traum, this node can be a decent source of bronze materials, even if they are dropped at a lower rate compared to Traum free quests. Overall, considering a lottery event is coming up right after this one, I personally think you should save your apples for that one, unless you have so many apples that you don't think you can use them all in the next lottery event. Unfortunately, I think I will be pretty busy during the next lottery event, so I probably won't be able to give you guys a complete farming guide. It shouldn't be too much of a problem since lottery events are usually covered by a lot of people on the web. But if you think you'll like even a small guide from me, let me know in the comments down below. And of course consider subscribing to the channel to show me your support. Team number 1 features Heroine X as the primary DPS and Morgan as the secondary DPS. This is the only 6-slot comp in the list that doesn't require either double support or a maximally unbroken event C. However, keep in mind that in order to use 2 base event Cs, you will need a Lora depend on both Morgan and Mysterious Heroine X altar. In order to reliably clear this node in 3 turns, I advise NP2 for both Morgan and Heroine X. That way you will mint turn regardless of your RNG for face cards. In fact, in wave 1 you may need to use some face cards to clear the remaining HP on the Cerberus, but since you will have 50 crit stars, even the worst possible end of 5 Summer Skadi cards will let you clear the Cerberus in 1 turn. Similarly, in wave 2 you may need 2 face cards to clear the 2 higher HP mobs, so just use 1 card before Morgan MP and 1 after it. Here I have chosen 2 quick Oberon cards that are the worst possible cards you can choose, and you will still clear it. You don't even need crits, even if they are guaranteed here again. Wave 3 is very easy, you will kill with MP only with your Heroine X MP. Team 1.2 is a variation of the previous one, using Rikyu instead of Morgan. As we have mentioned when talking in general about this farming node, Rikyu can support quick DPS very well, but since her overall NP charge is lower than Morgan, the refund numbers for Heroine X are very strict in this one. Aside lowering all important skills in your team, Heroine X altar needs at least NP3, a level 20 Max Limit Broken event C, with a level 6 Plugsuit Mystic Code used in room 1 in order to refund enough. I want to point out that despite this variation needing a muscling broken event C, Rikyu doesn't need her append here to work. In other words, if we compare this team with the previous one with Morgan, the overall starting NP charge from C's and append skills is the same. And since you want to maximally break your own event C copy, the only practical difference between the two versions is the higher NP level needed for Heroine X Alter, and of course having Morgan or Rikyu. In wave 1, since we are using overkill in order to refund enough with Heroine X, you will always kill with MP only. In wave 2, just like the previous version, you may need 2 face cards in order to kill the higher HP mobs, so once again use 1 card before your NP. Even 2 quick Oberon cards before and after Rikyu NP will do the job. Once again, that's the worst possible hand. In wave 3, since we have wasted the Mystic Code buffs in wave 1 for the refund, even at MP3, Heroine X won't be able to kill with MP only. But since you will be flooded with crit stars and all your team will have class advantage, you should still be able to finish the job with Heroine X or Rikyu cards. Worst case scenario, turn 4 will always clear since you will have again crit stars and a full class advantage team. Team number 2 features Chiron as the primary DPS and Morgan as the secondary AoE DPS. This is the last of the 6-slot teams that don't need double support. However, compared to the following ones that use double support, here you are using an extra party slot for Crane. I've put this team higher on the list since I value accessibility more than party cost. This team requires 2 maximally broken event Cs with starting NP charge, 1 on Chiron and 1 on Castoria, while Morgan needs the Buster maximally broken event C in order to increase her damage. I advise at least NP2 for all servants in the front line, Chiron, Morgan and Castoria. The reason for the NP2 on Castoria is the same for the Buster CE on Morgan, as we'll see in a moment when talking about wave 2. In wave 1, Chiron will absolutely demolish the Cerberus thanks to his super effective modifier. Meanwhile, this time for Morgan in wave 2, we won't be able to use 2 face cards, 1 before RMP and 1 after, in order to finish the higher HP mobs. And that's because we are using Crane NP. So we need to give all possible damage buffs to Morgan in order for her to kill with MP only. That's why I advised a level 22 maximally broken Buster event C and an NP2 Castoria in order to buff Morgan just enough. In wave 3 you will have more than 50 crit stars and Chiron skills will buff the critical damage of your entire party. So regardless of RNG for face cards, you should be able to clear this node in 3 turns even with only Oberon's cards on wave 3. Remember to save Chiron crit buffs for this last wave. And finally, my advice is to use Crane skill 3 on Morgan, since in case you have her face cards in wave 3, she will need it more than Chiron. Team number 3 is the first 6-slot comp that use double support, in this case double Oberon, and it features once again Heroine X Alter as the primary DPS, with 1 Oberon as the secondary DPS. Both DPSs will need maximally broken event C and level 1 mana loading. For Heroine X it's the starting and recharge C, while for Oberon is the Buster event C, since it needs damage instead of NP charge. If you have both Heroine X and Oberon at MP2, by following this script you will always kill with MP only in all 3 waves. So if you have an MP2 Oberon yourself, please put him on supports with a maximally broken Buster event C. He will greatly help your friends during this event. And for the love of God, please unlock his mana loading. I'm full of supports Oberons without their append skills, I swear. In case you are lacking Heroine X or you can only find NP1 on your supports, she can still reliably clear in 3 turns even at MP1. The main problem is wave 1, but you will have more than 50 crit stars and full class advantage in order to finish the Cerberus. In team number 4 we use Robin as the primary DPS and once again Oberon as the secondary DPS. If you only look at the party cost and bond bonus, since Robin is an event servant, this team could be seen as the best one among all 6-slot farming comps with double support. However, there is a much steeper cost for this team to work reliably. As we have discussed in the previous part of this video when talking about the node in general, Robin will struggle to reach the required damage in wave 1 against the Cerberus. And since this time you can't rely on crits in order to finish the job, you will need the following upgrades on Robin in order to guarantee the kill with MP only. 2 Grails to bring him to level 80, level 100 maximally unbroken starting NP charge event C, NP3 Castoria to buff both him and Oberon, and finally level 10 new Plug Suit Mystic Code. All this is only to kill in wave 1 with MP only, since if you miss the kill you won't have any buffs in wave 3, meaning your run is doomed. Thanks to Castoria NP, an MP1 Oberon can clear room 2 with MP only, but he will need a maximally unbroken Buster event C in order to do so. Once again, put him on support even at MP1 and remember to unlock his append skill. This particular Buster C is the best in your defense C in the game at the moment, and even in JP I think, so maxing it at level 100 is not a bad deal. Otherwise an MP2 Oberon will do the job just like in the previous farming comps. In wave 3, by having both Oberon on the field at the same time, we can guarantee the poison debuffs. It's thanks to Oberon anti-humanity passive that will let Robin's debuff bypass Dioscuri's magic resistance. I don't really recommend relying on poison command codes to clear this node. They will definitely help in wave 1 in particular, but as we have said before, relying on RNG for face cards in wave 1 is not a good idea. As a final note, Robin is the only primary single target DPS for this node that has bond bonus and of course damage bonus. Furthermore, this comp has the second lowest party cost among all 6-slot comps in this video. So this team could have been the most optimal one for this particular node, if not for the wave 1 requirements without the poison debuffs. Team number 5 features Moriarty as the primary DPS and Oberon as the secondary AoE DPS for wave 2. This is the only comp in this video where the double support is double Koyan instead of double Oberon. And that's because we are using a primary DPS with a 50% MP charge skill that can be used twice thanks to Koyan cooldown reduction. So we don't need a raw charge that double Oberon can provide. But of course we still want his skill tree for the last wave. Since charge for the primary DPS is the least of our problems for this particular comp, this time we are giving the maximally unbroken Buster event C to Moriarty instead of Oberon. Oberon will instead be using the starting NP charge event Cs for this comp and for all the following ones. So to summarize, if you have an MP2 or higher Oberon, please put him on your supports with either the Buster or the starter NP charge event Cs. These are the two combinations that I will be using in all my farming comps. And once again, leveling to 100 the Buster event Cs is not a bad idea as we said before. I advise at least NP2 for both Moriarty and Oberon. That way, in room 1 you will always kill the Cerberus no matter what cards you are given, even if you use 2 Koyan quick cards, the worst possible hand, since you will have guaranteed crits on turn 1. For wave 2, Oberon will kill with NP only, if you remember to give him both Koyan human power mod and to double stack Moriarty evil charisma. In wave 3, Moriarty can leave the Oscuri with few HPs, but any combination of cards of Moriarty and Oberon will finish the job. In the worst case of minimum RNG and only Koyan cards, for example, it's an easy finish for turn 4. As a side note, if you have Kintoki instead of Moriarty, you can use him as a primary DPS since he has a 50% MP charge skill. However, keep in mind that his damage will be lower in both wave 1 and wave 3 if we compare him and Moriarty at the same MP level. Furthermore, he has no way to buff Oberon damage since all his buffs are selfish, so you will need an higher MP level for Oberon in order to clear wave 2. So overall, I don't really recommend this combination, unless of course your copies are cracked for both Kintoki and Oberon. Team 5.1 is a variation of the previous one and one I don't really recommend using. I'm just adding this one for completion's sake. For this version we are using Morgan as the secondary DPS instead of Oberon. The advantage of this variation is that you need only NP1 Morgan to clear wave 2, instead of NP2 Oberon, since Morgan has a super effective modifier against the human attribute enemies in wave 2. However, damage will be much lower in wave 3 since you are lacking Oberon 3rd skill. Moriarty with this setup can leave almost 300,000 HP to the Oscuri, so you really need his crits in order to finish the job. He can guarantee those crits since he can produce his own stars and absorb them, however he only has one buster card. It's the same problem of OG Emiya all over again, but at least he keeps getting buffed. In other words, you will have a lot of RNG for crits in wave 3, so I don't really recommend this variation. At the very least, since you are not using Oberon, you can go past turn 4 and finish the job with either Moriarty or Morgan, and that's what you'll do probably most of the time. In team number 6 we have Tomoe as the primary DPS and once again Oberon as the secondary AoE DPS. Tomoe has currently the best single target buster damage among archers, for which her upgraded NP helps a lot. She has perfect synergy with Oberon thanks to the NP damage buffs in her kit, and finally she can buff the damage of the secondary DPS. In her case the only possible choice is Oberon since we need his raw NP charge, given that Tomoe has no self NP charge. Here I've used the NP5 Tomoe since I have that copy myself. She's a permanent old 4 stars, so you should have her at decent P levels. Instead, for Oberon I advise at least NP2 as usual. With this setup you will always kill in wave 1 with guaranteed crits. Any card after NP will finish the job even with the lowest possible RNG. In wave 2 Oberon will kill with NP only. And in wave 3, even with a mirror, any card from Tomoe or a crits from Oberon will finish the job. Team number 7 is probably the most interesting one in this video. Here we are using Bonny as the primary archer DPS, together with Gong in order to activate her guts and force the maximum possible super effective modifier from her NP. Don't be fooled, the secondary AoE DPS is once again Oberon. Gong is only there to enable the extra damage from Bonny NP and to give her some extra damage in wave 1, as well as some NP charge of course. This team has the lowest party cost among all the setups you will find in this video. So if we disregard the extra bond bonus for Robin in the team we have seen before, this is indeed the most optimal farming comp for this event. However, it may not be the most popular one, I fear. First of all, Bonny is a limited 4-star summer servant, probably the worst possible combination when it comes to availability, and you will need a decent NP level for her. for both damage and to unlock her pen skill. If you want to kill with NP only, you will need at least NP4. I've mentioned her pen skill since it's tied to the other big problem. That is, you will need one extra copy of the event starting NP charge C. If you farm the level 90++ node, it can be dropped at a 1.25% drop rate. So on average, you will need 80 run of this level 90+ node to get just one copy. I was lucky myself and I got one drop from the previous nodes, but of course I can't assume this is the case for everyone. So unfortunately this particular comp is locked behind RNG for C drops. The last drawback of this comp is that you'll need at least NP3 Oberon this time. The reason for the extra NP level is that Gong can only buff Bonny. He will not give any buffs to Oberon. So unlike the previous comps, here Oberon need to do the job alone, even if we consider Bonny party attack buff. At the very least, if you can replicate this setup, you will kill with NP only in all 3 rooms. There is no RNG involved whatsoever. Just be sure to use Gong NP before Bonny in wave 1 and you won't have to think about anything else. Team number 8 is the last 6-slot farming comp in this video, this time featuring Summer Nobu as the primary DPS, and once again Oberon as the secondary AoE DPS. I've ranked this particular team the lowest among all 6-slot farming comp with double support for several reasons. The most important one is that you will need one extra party slot in this comp, since you are bringing Arash in order to supplement the low damage in wave 1, given that Nobu has super effective modifier against the Oscuri but not against Cerberus. Secondly, this comp has the highest MP level requirements among 6-slot comps with double support, with Nobunaga needing NP5 to deal with the Cerberus in wave 1, and with Oberon needing at least NP3 in order to clear wave 2 with NP only. Not only that, he will also need a level 100 starting NP charge C. And unlike the Buster one, this particular event C is not worth leveling to 100. Finally, just like the previous comp, Summer Nobu is a 4-star limited summer servant. So when it comes to availability, she is not the easiest one to get. So I don't know how many players will have her at MP5. In wave 1, remember to use Nobu NP first, followed by Arash NP. You will also need to use the Mystic Code attack buff. That way, any card after or before NP, if you have only Arash cards, will finish the job. Oberon will kill with NP only in wave 2, and similarly, Nobu will kill with NP only in wave 3. Remember to save Nobu skill tree for this last wave, since in order to get her attack buffs, she needs the burning field, so you need to wait after using her NP on wave 1. If you have a lower NP level Nobu, you can also use this skill in order to finish the job with crits on wave 3. Since Nobu has 3 Buster cards, this strategy is a decent one. With team number 9, we are moving to 5-slot farming comp, and we will start with the best Black Grail farming team, that is, using Billy as the primary DPS, together with the new Welfare Elisabeth as the secondary AoE DPS. This is among the best teams to use for this event if you have a maximally broken Black Grail CE. It has the second lowest party cost among all the setups in this video, and aside needing one support among Summer Skadi or Oberon, all the other DPSs are free for this particular team. You don't even need to waste any lore on Billy and Elisabeth, since at most you will need level 9 for their skills. As a cherry on top, the Plug Suit Mystic Code work at level 1. So aside the maximally broken Black Grail, which purely relies on luck, unfortunately, this team is probably the cheapest one in this video. If you can replicate this exact setup, Billy will kill with MP only in both wave 1 and wave 3. For wave 2, if you keep Elisabeth skills at level 9, you just need to use one card before her MP in wave 2 in order to finish the 2 higher HP mobs in case of a mini roll. Don't worry, any card will work, so there is no RNG. Team number 10 is a 5-slot farming comp that will let you have fun with Robin as the primary DPS without needing double Oberon. This time, to guarantee the poison debuffs on the Oscuri, we will be using Love's Curse C, which is a relatively new 5-star permanent C. You don't need a Maximum Broken copy to guarantee the poison debuff. Here I've only used a level 100 copy in order to trigger Robin overkill in wave 1. We'll talk about it in a moment. This team has once again, just like the previous one, the second lowest party cost, and on top of that it uses Robin that has a bond bonus in this event. However, all the other requirements are quite a bit higher compared to the previous team. The reason is that Robin has basically no refund and no charge skill. And for this setup to work, you need to trigger his overkill. So you must kill with MP only on wave 1 no matter what. For these reasons you will need at least NP2 Castoria, lowered skills for the Welfare Elisabeth, level 10 new Plug Suit Mystic Code, and finally a level 100 CE on Robin. These are the minimum requirements for Robin to always loop. If you have an higher MP level Castoria, or better if you have Grailed Robin, then you can make this comp work with a base C, for example. If you are wondering why Robin NP gain skill is only at level 9, it's because lowering it doesn't help. The increase in NP gain is not the same as triggering the overkill, so it's just a wasted lore. Once again, all these requirements are needed in order to overkill and refund enough in wave 1. In wave 2, the Welfare Elisabeth will kill with MP only, thanks to Castoria's MP, and in wave 3 Robin will absolutely destroy the Oscuri. In other words, you can try to use this comp with lower investments, but remember that you only have one single face cards available in wave 1 and no crits whatsoever. Team number 11 is the final entry for this video, and it's meant to be the most accessible one in this list. Once again, both the primary and the secondary DPSs are free options, with Chloe dealing with wave 1 and wave 3, and the Welfare Elisabeth dealing with wave 2. This time, however, we are using Royal Icing CE on Chloe, which is a free CE you should have gotten from a previous Halloween event of all things. So we are still sticking with the Halloween team. Here I've used a level 100 copy to guarantee the kill with MP only. This team can work with less investment, but considering how good this CE is, you are not wasting resources if you plan to level it to 100. Especially if you are lacking a Black Grail CE, this can be a good replacement. Plus the art comes from Redrop, Kama's artist, so leveling it up is good civilization for sure. Party cost is just slightly higher than previous 5-slot farming comps, and this time you will need Lord skills. At the very least the charge skills on Chloe and Welfare Elisabeth, but the upside is that you will definitely be able to use this comp. You just need to have either Castoria or Oberon, so one between the first and the second best support in the game so far. If you can replicate my exact setup, any card after Chloe and P will kill in both wave 1 and wave 3, while the Welfare Elisabeth will kill with MP only. That's all for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you have found this type of content useful, please let me know by leaving a like, a comment and subscribing to the channel. It really helps more than you can think of. As I said previously, I don't think I'll be able to cover the next lottery event, at least not extensively, since I'm pretty busy at the moment and I will be even more later on. Let's just say that if you motivate me enough, I'll be able to at least put a small guide out. Anyway, thank you once again for watching. I hope I will see you again next time. Bye bye.